Stourbridge is a town of over 50,000 population in North Worcestershire. In 1959, Stourbridge had a traffic problem. Situated on the edge of the Birmingham conurbation, it lies on the commuter routes between the rural areas of the Green Belt to the west and south and the industrial areas to the east and north. In 1959, all these heavily trafficked routes met in and passed through Stourbridge's town centre. A one-way system introduced in 1964 relieved the situation, but this could only be a temporary expedient. These were the traffic conditions which existed in the town centre at that time. The conflict between vehicles and pedestrians, causing delays to through traffic, danger to pedestrians, and adversely affecting the environment for shoppers because of noise and fumes from passing vehicles. A ring road was the obvious answer to remove the through traffic from the town centre, and these were the conditions existing on the proposed line of the ring road prior to its construction. From the residential surroundings of Bath Road, the new road passed in front of the proposed multi-storey car park. Along Queen's Road, opening up the unsightly backs of the Lower High Street properties. Across Lower High Street into Mill Street. And through the semi-derelict areas in the vicinity of Duke Street and St. John's Road. Having decided that something would have to be done about the traffic problems in the town, work commenced in 1959 on the preparation of the plans for the ring road. The design was unique at that time in that, instead of the more usual dual carriageway road, it provided for a three-lane one-way. This removed the danger arising from right-turning traffic and eliminated the need for complicated junctions, traffic lights, roundabouts, or point-duty policemen. After these plans had been approved by the Borough Council, there followed years of negotiations with the County Council and the Ministry of Transport before work commenced on the site in February 1968. In Lower High Street, work began on demolition of the existing buildings. It should be remembered that a large part of the construction work has now been buried below ground level. Over £70,000 has been spent on drainage works alone. Here, work is taking place on the construction of the pedestrian subways in Lower High Street. In fills detached houses. The subway floors were constructed of reinforced concrete. 3 such subways have been provided in this phase of the work, and 2 more will be provided in the next and final phase of the roadworks. In constructing the subway under St. John's Road, the Council have taken the opportunity to provide underground public conveniences. The subway walls were also constructed of reinforced concrete, 12 inches thick, and here the concrete is being poured between the shuttering and carefully compacted around the steel reinforcement. To ensure sound construction, frequent concrete cubes were made and tested. Here you see one 33,000-volt cable and high and low pressure water mains being laid in the Lower High Street subways. The work of the various statutory undertakings had to be coordinated with the work of the road contractor. Was the driving of the steel sheet piles, a very necessary part of the work. They were used here to form a cofferdam to enable the bridge works to be carried out. Adequate timbering was necessary to ensure the stability of the cofferdam. And after this work had been completed, the excavation for the bridge abutments commenced. This shows the bridge abutments being constructed. These were carried down to a depth of 12 feet below the level of the riverbed. More concrete was used to form the abutment walls, and here you see the abutments completed. The construction of the subway walls, bridge, and other reinforced concrete work has involved the fixing of nearly 300 tons or 85 miles of steel reinforcement. Great care had to be taken in fixing the reinforcement for the bridge deck slab. Accuracy in positioning was essential. When the reinforcement was in position, concrete was poured and compacted around it to form a slab 9 inches thick. The snake-like instrument, which you see being used on concrete work, is a vibrator, used to secure adequate compaction of concrete. After concreting, the bridge slab was covered with sand, which was kept damp for a period of 7 days whilst the concrete cured. The first half of the new bridge was constructed whilst the traffic was carried over the old bridge. Then the traffic was switched over and excavation began for the second half of the bridge. The first winter of the contract was one of the wettest winters on record, and the previous summer was not much better. The heavy rain, which caused the level of the river to rise and flood the workings, didn't help the contractor's work. An idea of the rise in height of the river can be obtained from this shot, which shows a sewer outfall below the water level, and the next shot, which shows the same outfall after the river had fallen to its normal level. Whilst work was in progress on the construction of the bridge, work was also proceeding on other parts of the ring road, on preliminary works such as drainage and construction of retaining walls. The retaining walls were mainly constructed of reinforced concrete, in some cases faced with brickwork. They varied in thickness from 12 inches to 15 inches and in height from 3 feet to 15 feet. Before construction work could take place, the existing buildings on the line of the road had to be cleared. And here you see demolition work in progress on the St. John's Road section. Problems were also encountered here because of extensive underground cellars. As I have already mentioned, drainage work cost over £70,000, and in total 2¼ miles of pipes have been laid and buried below the ground, ranging in size from 6-inch diameter gully connections up to 45-inch diameter surface water sewers. These sewers vary in depth from 6 inches to 25 feet. In order to assist displaced shopkeepers, the council provided 8 temporary shops at the junction of Coventry Street and St John's Road. Here, roadworks are in progress on the St John's Road section from Lower High Street to Coventry Street. The curbs used throughout the work were 10-inch by 6-inch granite, specially imported from Portugal. Generally, the road base consists of 8 inches of broken stone. On the broken stone is laid 10 inches of bitumen and tar-coated stone. The coated material was laid by mechanical paver. This machine is capable of laying 40 tons of material per hour. This view shows the new road construction approaching Coventry Street, which had to be lifted 2 feet to fit in with the new level of the ring road. The St John's Road section was initially opened to two-way traffic to enable construction work to be carried out across Lower High Street, and here it is shown shortly before it was opened. Work then commenced on the Bath Road, Queen's Road section. Work is in progress here outside the now completed multi-storey car park. The new surface water drainage laid in this section consisted of 42-inch diameter concrete pipes. This is a view of work in progress on the Queen's Road section from the top of the multi-storey car park. Here, sewers are being laid across Enville Street. To reduce the excessive gradient which previously existed in Queen's Road, the level of Queen's Road was reduced by 7 feet and the ring road was carried across Lower High Street at a height of 10 feet. This shows the Bath Road, Queen's Road section nearing completion, taken from the top of the multi-storey car park. This is to remind you of the traffic congestion which previously occurred in St. John's Road. The construction of the subway and public conveniences under the Foster Street St. John's Road junction involved excavation of a hole 38 feet by 44 feet by 15 feet deep. Care had to be taken to ensure that the structure was adequately waterproofed to prevent groundwater from entering the subway. The combined subway and public conveniences were constructed in reinforced concrete. It was not an easy task to carry out this work in the centre of a busy road junction whilst interfering as little as possible with the flow of traffic. Having provided a soundly constructed road, the final finishings were completed. White lines were very necessary to guide the traffic around the new road. Landscaping was an important contribution to the final appearance of the work.